Okay, this is off-grade amateur here inside my tiny workshop where I fabricate. Give you a quick look at the bench. There's some boxes for shipping. I use U-Haul because they make those in the USA. But today's subject matter is shipping. And I've had a couple of problems with my shipper. Reports from my customers, some photographs where they've sent me that these legs right here were kind of bent. Some of them pretty severely, but not so badly that they couldn't be straightened out by the customer. They worked with me. We came to an amicable resolution. That's very friendly, just like the fire pit. And we were able to, agree on terms. And then, of course, that led me down a road of trying to find a solution to the problem. And usually the solution to any shipping problem when it comes to damage is just more packing material, more foam, more cardboard, just more. And I really, really dislike styrofoam. I mean, styrofoam is the absolute worst. Let me just get this up right here. This right here is mostly air, and it does an effective job. But the only way to recycle it, because it's plastic, is to apply high levels of heat without it catching fire to get rid of those air pockets, release it, and take it down to just a plastic slug that's left over. And then that can be recycled. So it's a pretty expensive and time-consuming process. So I was just thinking about what I had. And what I have is I have excess drum material. Now, when I build these, I try to use as much of the original drum as possible. And this is part of that drum. What's left are these clippings, and that ring is all that's left after I make this. That tiny little bit of material right there that I put out for recycling. Somebody comes along, collects all my scraps. But this worked out perfect because this is the second bead. Now, as you know, the first bead on there that's rolled into that steel ends up adding integrity to the interior drum. Okay? And this interior liner doesn't have anything supporting it. It's just free hanging, and then it's suspended from this lip using these angle brackets that are fashioned out of the drum material. And of course, as you know, this pan is reinforced with the cutout from up here. This cutout up here is used to make this stronger down here to resist burnout. But also, these legs. These legs are made from material from the same drum. And so are these legs. So packing this together, and I used to put this up inside this groove that's in the bottom of the pan that would allow that to nest. And as you can see, that groove right there, and this leg comes down in, and it rests into those grooves. All three of those legs rest into that groove, and that gives it strength. Once it's in position, that holds it in position and keeps it from moving around. But the issue I was having was this, right here. The people were having problems with these legs. Not too many. I've actually done pretty good. I've shipped out and sold a lot of these, so a small fraction of them showed up with these things bent. And they reached out to me. We came to a resolution about it, and they sent me some pictures of their bent legs, and, just to validate their claim. So I decided to take a portion of the drum. Now, this same bead, this second bead right here, is very, very strong. It's one of the strongest parts of the drum. These corners right here are very strong, but these are strong as well. And normally, flat metal, when you push on it, it's going to flex. Like this right here, that's flexing and bowing. But this right here, that doesn't want to flex because of this bead. So I'm nesting this down inside. I split it right here, shrink it down, pop a couple of rivets, get it down inside this groove. And to keep it in here for shipping, besides having the box, just to make sure it doesn't slide out, is I'm going to put zip ties through these holes. So when you get it, you're going to have to cut those zip ties because they're going to come up around through here and over the top and down through that hole. So you're going to cut that zip tie off. It's going to be in 5 places. And then what you're going to have left is this metal ring. You're going to remove that, and then you've got your base. Just pull that base up off of the fire pit, separate it, put it on the ground, nest your legs down inside the pan, and you're ready to have your first fire. Now, the customer has 2 options when it comes to using this ring. They can just recycle it. put it out with your recycling, and it'll just get turned into more steel. Or you can hang on to it. Now you got to remember, this is sheet metal, so it's thin. So no matter how rounded you make this, there's always the potential that you can get cut by this. So to avoid that, exercise caution. You might even want to wear gloves. But if you take this riser, which is about 4 inches high, and you nest it down inside this fire pit, just like so, now you've essentially created a riser ring. Now, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to create a riser ring on your fire pit? It hinders the view of the fire. Well, the reason that you want to do that is a support or a rest for your roasting stick. Now, when you're cooking steaks and stuff like that, you want it close to the heat because it's going to hit that sear temperature. But when it's time to make those s'mores, and you want to get your s'mores and your marshmallows perfectly roasted, but not have them catch on fire, because they have a tendency to do that. When sugar burns, it turns black. This right here can act as kind of a support or a roasting stick rest. You can tilt it and adjust your height so that you're not too close to the fire. Another tip, though, a lot of people use the Hershey bars and the marshmallows and the graham crackers, which is like the original. And if you're a purist and that's what you want to do, great. But here's a tip. Try the Andes Thin Mints. Put a couple of those Andes Thin Mints on your graham cracker and then throw that hot marshmallow on it. That's a different kind of s'more. Anyway, back to the fire pit. Okay, as you know, 5 legs, all built from material in the drum. And what's left over is that, and then trimmings, just little bits of curly trimmings from building this fire pit. So, we're using as much of the drum as possible, and I'm going to start using this to protect your investment and my reputation, quite frankly. I can build a good product, but I can't speak to the integrity of the shipper. Those guys are like overworked and underpaid, and they just need to get all those deliveries made, so they can't treat everything like it's, a super thin glass or an egg packaged up. They have to keep moving. So hopefully I'll continue to get more feedback. I really appreciate the feedback from people. As you can see, this drum right here had a non-GMO soybean oil in it. And I don't know if you can see it or not. It may not even be on this drum. It was owned, this material, that's not on that portion. The people that use this drum, there's that. Sometimes I get them and it's just emblazoned right on there. It's embossed. This is made in the USA. Sometimes I get them and they're made in the USA like that, and I love that. But another thing is this particular company where these drums came from was produced by a company that made the soybean oil, and it's women-owned. And they got a big sticker on the side of it, woman-owned. It's like women in business totally support and encourage everybody to, pursue their passion regardless of gender. Also, there's a sticker on the side there, Chicago Steel, shows the manufacture date. So that shows that this drum was made in Chicago, Illinois, here in the USA. But as you know, rivets hold everything in place, and this seemed to be the weak point in shipping. So this is what I'm doing to protect your investment, to protect my reputation as a builder of a quality product. I can't speak for the shipper because they have their own agendas. But when you get your fire pit, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see zip ties running through here and around, pass all the way through. Just cut them, lift the ring away, pull the pan off, lift that off, set it down on the ground, and then put your upper section down inside, and you're ready for your first fire. So if anybody has any questions, comments about this, you got some feedback about your fire pit, you can reach out to me on the Facebook Amicus Fire Pit's Facebook group. And you can also comment in any of my videos on the channel. So I appreciate you taking the time to watch. And hopefully this hasn't bored you too much. So y'all have a great evening. I got to get a couple of these wrapped up and ship out real soon.